What's going on, everybody? Gary B. Jr. here, your media consultant, and today we're going into the lab. When I say going to the lab, that means we're going to do some experimenting. We're going to figure out a solution to a problem that someone asked on YouTube or Facebook or GitHub or Reddit or somewhere related to FreeShow. And so today our issue is someone wants to show two different languages for their songs on two different screens, but they want to be able to control them and show them from one free show computer. And this is definitely possible. We're going to look at some options as to how to show two different languages on your screen. So this particular ministry, from what I understand, they have two separate TV monitors or projectors up in the front, which is not uncommon. However, typically, the way that I've seen it run at most churches I've been a part of and ministries I've been a part of is that those are coming off of a splitter. And this individual has said theirs are not. Theirs are actually two separate slides or two separate feeds coming directly from the computer. And that's important because what they want to do is they want to show two separate things on each of those. And the best way to do that is going to be to have them coming from two separate feeds from your computer as opposed to a splitter. Now, I'll show you a way to work if you have a splitter. It's not going to do two separate things, but it will show two separate languages. So let's look at that together first, and I will share my screen here. And if you notice, I've got two outputs set up right now. So they're separate outputs, but I've got them coming from with the same style, and so we're gonna act like they're the same output. This is our two monitors or two screens in the front, two projectors, whatever your church may use. LED screens could be an option as well. But they're coming from your free show computer and you want them to show two different languages. So one way you can do that is to go down to the bottom of your show. So I'm in my show right now. Uh, I've got that going there. I can hit this little arrow here and it gives me an option with a globe icon. And so when I select that, it gives me an option for localization. I can hit this drop down and I can pick from a number of different languages. If you want to find one that works for you, you can simply scroll or begin typing what that language is you want it to be. Today, we'll keep it at Portuguese. And then I'm going to select the option to translate. Now, this is for this particular show. It is not going to translate everything into Portuguese on every show in free show in your library. It's just going to do it for this one particular show. So I select translate. And down here it says I got an error and it could not translate. However, I've seen that before and it usually still works. So I'm not sure about that error message for every time you do this, but from my experience, that pops up and maybe something's getting left out, but everything I've seen, it works just fine. So we'll hit the little X here. And now I can look at my screen and I can see that I've got two different languages showing up. I got English at the top and Portuguese at the bottom. Now, how is it doing this? It automatically converted the the template that I'm using to being a different template for one. So if I go to my templates and I go to songs, there's a template here called double that's there by default. What I would recommend you do is right click on that template, go to edit, and you'll be able to see the different boxes that are there. There's a box one and box two. They're completely transparent, so you're not going to see an outline or anything like that. But my recommendation, as usual, is to go in and select shrink to fit for box one, select box two, and select shrink to fit as well. This is just a precautionary item or precautionary tool. These are some huge boxes. So the likelihood of you running out of space is slim, but every ministry is different in terms of how many lines of text or lyrics they want to put on their show. So I want to be conscious of that as we go through this. So we've got our template set up and it automatically defaults to that when you do your localization. It defaults to that double template, which is great. Some of you all may experience it running off. Make sure to do shrink to fit by going to the double template and editing it. And the only reason I knew it was on the double template is because it's got this blue box around it. Yours may be a different color, may be pink, depending on whatever theme you're using in FreeShow. All right. So now this is the quick and easy way to get two different languages showing up on your screen at the same time. All right. The question though was how do we get two languages showing on two separate screens? So one screen has English, the other screen has Portuguese. All right, so the very first thing you need to do is you need to go into your settings, on each of your outputs. And what I've done is I would right click and I would hit edit, and I would make sure that my style for each output is exactly the same. So I'm doing the default style for my primary, and then I right click on this one and I've got the default style for my live 2 training. What this does is it makes sure that we're getting the same background and the same look and font and size and all that kind of stuff on our screens. Now, this is considering if you have two separate outputs. Even if you have the splitter going on with this method, you wouldn't necessarily even have two outputs. So you wouldn't even have this going on. You would just have one output here if you had everything going through a splitter to just split out to two separate screens, but the same thing. You would just need one. The default um, really wouldn't matter in terms of the style itself because they're getting the same feed. Whereas with this model, when we do this process to two separate output feeds, we need to make sure that they've got the exact same style. And that means that each of these particular screens is going to go to a separate window. I'm using NDI to send this out separately just because it's easier for you to see on screen. But you would have a separate output for this one, and then you would right click on the other one, and you would have a separate output for that one as well. And they would be identical in size and all that kind of stuff once you have this set up properly. But that would already be done. So I'm not really emphasizing this, but I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. If you're just jumping into FreeShow and trying to set this up, this is what I left out, that the styles are identical when we're trying to get this to two separate TVs. So let's identify and figure out how to do that. So the first thing I would say we need to do is we need to look at this particular template again. And what I would say we do is we right click on that and we duplicate. All right, so this is step one. So we're going to say double, and I'm going to call it stacked because we're going to stack these up. All right, so I've got my double this there by default. You'll see the little shield there. And then I've got my double that I'm duplicating. There's a stacked version of that. And I still kept all the settings. The shrink to fit is all there and everything. So I'm going to right click on this and edit it. And all we're going to do is move these together. So I'm going to move number 2 to where it is centered, and I'll move number 1 where it is centered. Now, doing that is great, but here's what the next step is. We've got to right click on this and select specific outputs. And for number 1, I'm going to put that on the primary. And let me move this out the way to see number 2. Let's pull that down. And so I've got number 2. I'm going to right click on that one, and I'm going to send that one to my other one that's called Live 2 Training. All right, so now these particular languages are going to go to a specific output only. Now remember, this is only going to work if you have monitors that have a separate feed directly from your computer. Let me make sure these are centered up, and I'm going to pull these both up so they can be in the center. All right, so they're stacked on top of each other, but they're going to go to two separate places. So now let's go to show. And I've got my show ready, but I have not selected my stacked double template. So I'm going to select that and let's see what happens. Everything looks a little jumbled when you're looking at it from the volunteer or user standpoint of going through the show, but check out what happens. If we go here, you'll see at the bottom of my screen now, as I go through the slideshow, each screen is showing a different language. On the bottom left, you're going to see English. On the bottom right, you're going to see Portuguese. And they're completely in sync because they're still coming from the same slideshow. They're just showing on two different screens with two different languages. So if you are in need of showing two different languages and you want one side to be one language, the other side to be another language, which is a really helpful tool for a bilingual fellowship, this is an easy way to make that happen and make it work for your songs. All right, one quick tip to remember. If you ever want to undo your localization that you did, I'm still on my same show. I can hit that same globe icon and I can go here and I can go to the very bottom. It says remove translated items. I can select that and everything goes back to normal in terms of it'll go back to your template that you had defaulted for that show, and it'll go back to your primary language that you originally had. So if you find yourself doing this, playing with it, practicing with it, and you want to undo it because you still haven't got all the kinks worked out or you don't feel comfortable with it, you can always undo it by going back to the bottom menu here and hitting the globe icon and then just select remove. All right. So that quick tip is important. As I edit this, I realized that that was missing. And let me know if you have any questions about this process as you try it out on your own, and or any suggestions on another way that you would do and accomplish this same uh, objective to make it work for your ministry or for others. All right. Till next time. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope it helped you in a major way. Now, at this point, most people would ask you to like and subscribe, and I think that's great, but my goal is a little bit different. My goal is to empower as many people as possible all over the globe. And there's one way that you can really help me do that, and that is to leave a comment below with a question, a thought, how this video may have helped you, or things that were left out that you still have questions about, and to share this video with someone just like you, someone who is looking for answers, someone who's curious and wants to grow. With your help, I believe we can build a community of people that want to grow together. So until next time, God bless.